Good evening, guys. I will be your first facilitator for the first portion of this meeting. Today we're going to talk about the transit planning in New York City and the purposes for a survey that we're conducting. I want to start off by just handing out some consent forms and making sure you guys agree to it. I will read it off to you guys to make sure you are in agreement with the consent form. So I, the above named student, am 18 years of age or older and have voluntarily applied to participate in the above named community service program. Hereinafter referred to as the program, I acknowledge that the nature of the program may expose me to hazards or risks that may result in my illness, personal injury, or death, and I understand and appreciate the nature of such hazards and risks. In consideration of my participation in the program, I hereby accept any and all risk to my health and or risk of injury or death that may result from such participation, and I hereby release Manchester Community College, its governing board, officers, employees, and representatives from any and all liability to me, my personal representatives, the state hires, next of kin, and assigns for any and all claims and causes of action for loss of or damage to my property, and for any and all illness or injury to my person, including my death that may result from or occur during my participation in the program, whether caused by the negligence of Manchester Community College, its governing board, officers, employees, or representatives, or otherwise. I further agree to indemnify and hold harmless Manchester Community College and its governing board, officers, employees, and representatives from liability from the injury or death of any persons and or damage to property that may result from my negligent or intentional act or omission while participating in the described program. I also understand that Manchester Community College, its governing board, officers, employees, and representatives do not provide liability insurance or otherwise indemnify me or anyone else who may participate in the program for any injuries or any other liabilities arising from my voluntary participation. I have carefully read this agreement and I understand it to be a release of all claims and causes of action for my injury or death or damage to my property that occurs while participating in the described program, and it obligates me to indemnify the parties named for any liability for injury or death of any person and or damage to property caused by my negligent or intentional act or omission. I certify that I am the parent or legal guardian. So do you all come in agreement to this consent form?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you guys have any questions in regards to this?
No, we're good.
No? Okay, so we can now start off by talking about how did you guys get to this meeting today, pretty much. Go through one by one. Or introduce yourselves first, I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Elena, and I got here by car.
By car. Elena.
My name is Jaspal, and I also got here by car. I was actually picked up carpool over here.
My name is Fabiana and I drove here, so by car.
My name is Francisco and I drove here. My name is Chris and I drove also.
Can you tell me about the trip or your experiences while driving here, since all you guys did drive here or were picked up?
It was fast because we were by.
Okay. All of you guys?
Well, for me, I do this trip a lot because one of the facilitators is my friend, so it was not even in my mind when I came in. It's pretty fast.
Yeah, he was easy. He was just sleeping in the car ride. It was like not even a minute. It's really, yeah, we live close by. So.
Yeah, 2 minutes to get here.
Yes.
It took me 15 minutes because I live in Jackson Heights, so for me it was
So nobody experienced rush hour or traffic on a crazy
Mhm.
Saturday. Okay, so do you guys take the bus at all? I don't say you probably drove. Do you guys ever take the bus maybe in New York City?
try not to.
You try not to? Is there a specific reason why?
Takes too long.
It takes too long.
I do.
You do?
I live in Brooklyn,
Okay.
and I took my car.
So you commute to where from?
School, work, after work, I take the bus and stuff.
Is it different boroughs or the same borough?
Just in Brooklyn.
It's
So,
still like all in different. Okay. anything you want to say about that in regards to maybe like the traffic that goes on or what you experience on the bus?
It's definitely not as fast as a car, and not as comfortable and convenient, I guess, as a car, but
Yeah.
because I don't have one, so it does the trick, I guess.
So we see the bus is crowded.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you have to give up your seat and stuff, but it's, the faster you get home, the better. Like, I really think about it.
So do you think that it's crowded because maybe they don't have enough buses running or because New York City is probably overpopulated?
Probably because New York City is overpopulated.
Okay, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I'll take the bus if I have to go into the city. I won't take the car. Just because parking wise, all of the regulations and the no parking signs, it's just convenient just to take the bus. But it's true during rush hours in the morning, and also remember like going to high school, that's when I always had to take the bus the most. Yeah, it's either I think we're overpopulated and if we do have a lot of buses, it'll still just pass you by because it'll be packed with people. So I don't think it's the bus situation. I definitely do think we have just too many.
So you don't think maybe like having buses come like every 7 minutes or 5 minutes would help, the buses being so crowded since it is an issue maybe?
They do come though, like every 5-7 minutes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I remember seeing a bus and like 3 minutes there's another bus. So it's definitely overpopulated.
So it's how most of you get to work in school, the bus. What about the train? The train too?
Yeah.
The train.
How do you guys feel about the train? What train do you guys take actually?
I only usually take a train if I'm going to the city or if I go to Queens to visit someone.
What train?
I take the B or the Q. typically.
Yeah.
If I go into the city, I take the train. I usually take the E Express.
Mm-hmm.
I do the 7 train, but I've also taken the N, the R, the W, because I'll sometimes go into Astoria and take those trains in there. And sometimes I have to go and take the 1, 2, or 3 train. It depends. But yeah, I do take the trains and
Mm-hmm.
I take the E to the city.
The E.
I'll take the train to the city and to come back.
So you prefer the bus or the train? Which one is more efficient in New York City?
I think trains are definitely more efficient because they're not subject to traffic.
Okay, that's true.
And going back to the question about having more buses or overpopulated, if you have more buses, more traffic.
That's true.
So I think you have to get the right balance,
Mm-hmm.
And also, when you create more buses, it leads more jobs. Also.
More jobs. So you say it's a benefit to have buses.
And also, it's more easier on the environment because it's like electronic, so it doesn't pollute the
Okay.
environment.
So we call that going green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are ways you guys think that you make your commute easier in New York City?
I think those timers now on the trains are making it easier because you know when the train's coming or how long. Yeah, instead of waiting there and just not knowing how long it's going to come back. So I definitely love those the timers that they're putting up. But I don't know.
Your
Yeah.
iPhone
Yeah.
actually tells you if you put in the destination and you put in you're going by train, it tells you like, okay, if you make it to the train by this time, the bus or the train, whatever you're taking, will be there at a certain hour, and it tells you by minutes. Like,
Okay. So what do you guys do yourself personally just to make your commute easier to go to school or to go to work or to just run your errands or whatever?
drive.
An hour
Drive.
before.
Yeah, try to skip the traffic, plan ahead.
Okay, avoid
So
rush hours.
yeah,
so
to
you're not
avoid
taking
rush
train
hour,
at 5
exactly.
o'clock
Or, it also depends on what you're doing. Like let's say you're driving to pick someone up, maybe it'll be easier for them to come pick you up depending on where you're going. So it all depends on the situation, really.
Okay. Okay.
But definitely that whole leaving an hour early
Mhm.
if you know it's going to be rush hour, or even leaving an hour later and just staying somewhere just to avoid that rush hour. 'Cause that's what I do at work. I'll leave work later just because I don't want to be stuck in that
I get to work an hour before, so I can have an hour to look for parking.
train. Oh, or the parking, yeah, okay, that's true, yeah.
So would you guys say a car or a bus is like a necessity in New York City?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Any advantages you guys think that there probably is to that or?
Well, the advantages of a car, there's some places in Queens where the buses and trains don't run as much. And at nighttime, the buses and trains don't run as much. So if you're going out somewhere at night, you know, it's much more efficient to take the car. But if you're going in the daytime in rush hour, I can take the bus and train. So again, it depends on the timing and what and where you're going.
Okay. Do you remember a time when you were probably late to work or school because of, you know, transportation in New York City? We all had that. You
Yeah.
want to share one of your experiences, maybe?
Well, I don't really take the train too often because I go to school and it's only a few blocks away from where I live, so I walk. And if I go to the city, I drive to the train station part. And then when I get on the train, usually the train is faster than what I expected, and I get to where I'm going earlier. That's my experience.
Does anybody maybe have a time with the train made them late because somebody got sick or you guys
The bus usually. I
Yeah.
tried to take the bus in the morning to work, and I always end up getting off to take a cab. Like as I'm on the bus, I'm calling the cab. Like, all right, I'm gonna be in the corner of so and so, because I can't. I just start getting like antsy and I can't do this. And the guy in the wheelchair feels really bad, but he's taking way too long to get on, and I'm like 5 minutes already late. So I'm like, oh fuck this, I'm out.
Can anybody recall me a specific time
Yeah.
where it's really
Yeah, it was well, in terms of transportation, so taking like going into the city, and I had an appointment, and when I got there, they were doing construction and the bus wasn't running. I mean, the train wasn't running. So you had we had to go onto the opposite side of the Queensbound, take that to like the first stop, and then wait until the trains switched back just to get into Manhattan. So it's just in terms of construction or overcrowding of buses in high school, you would wait for like 3 buses, and they wouldn't take you because there would be just too many people going
Yeah.
at that same time. And yeah, I remember going like first period and saying the bus was late, and my math teacher would be like, "Well, I'm sorry, that's your problem. You should just
Yeah.
wake up early." And I'm like,
early?
"Thank you," but yeah, I think it's either or. Like some people will be fine with it and will take the excuse of like it was transportation
Mhm.
that caused you to be late. I think more so people will be they'll take that and they'll
Yeah.
be lenient towards you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's happened where the buses, the trains.
Do you feel like these different types of transportation in New York City are helping the community or not helping the community?
It's helping,
Like,
it's
it's like
getting
it's
everybody
helping us in
around.
a way, or it's just.
I think it absolutely is helping because there's many people who can't afford any other type of transportation.
It's true.
Many people rely 100% on the bus. If there was no buses, they wouldn't be able to get anywhere unless they get a bike or walk, which would be inefficient.
And then there's places that don't have at all, like in Florida, the
Yeah.
buses stop running at 9 o'clock and you try to get home. If you don't have a car, you're kind of just.
Because think about it, you hear people complain more about the MTA or the buses than you hear people actually like appreciate it, you know? So it makes you think, now is it really helping the community? Is it
Well,
really
take it away from New Yorkers
Yeah,
and then see what
exactly.
happens and what they say. You know, once you have something, you kind of don't appreciate it until it's actually not there anymore.
And I also think, you know, us as New Yorkers, we're the ones who are actually paying for these services.
Mhm.
We pay taxes, those tax dollars
Tax
go
dollars.
Absolutely.
to running the trains, so it would be nice if they tried to maybe improve and run it a little more efficient.
You should
Yeah.
have jolly drivers. That's what it also like.
And
Sometimes you have.
You're welcome. When you're like, thank you, and you get off, you're like,
Yeah.
But would you say that compared to, let's say, you guys remember when we used to have like the tokens
Mm.
in the 1999?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now compare the MTA during that time to this time. That time we didn't have, you know, the schedules. We didn't have like, you know, the 5 Lexington side. We had like, you know, just one train line or whatever. So would you say that the trains definitely have come a long way and that they probably do?
Absolutely, I think they have. I think the system of getting a Metro card, and you could even refill your Metro card can even refill
Mhm.
automatically.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop and pick up tokens or
Mhm.
refill your Metro card anymore. And the trains itself, the technology has advanced a lot. Trains are faster, they're more efficient, and they're better for the environment now.
That's very true. Any opinions?
I don't know. I definitely do think that the trains and the buses are a huge part of living in the
Yeah.
city. Even if you're not in strictly Manhattan, but being in New York City, Queens, or any of the boroughs. I think that transportation is, and I think even if people complain, it's just because that's our nature. We just love to
Yes,
complain.
New York.
But I mean, during the strike that happened, it was like 5 or 6 years. No, more than that.
It's like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. And I remember I had to walk home and it took me 2 hours. I mean, there was nothing else I could do, so we walked home. But like, if I had to do that all the time, walking home for like 2 hours,
Yeah.
I think I would. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Like, I just wouldn't be able to do it. But the trains and the systems, it definitely does work for our environment. And I know they're adding a new line, like on Second Avenue, because there were no trains at that point.
That's gonna take a long time.
That is gonna take a long time. That is true. I did hear that.
So that's an improvement, right? So we're
Yeah.
trying to make it better for
It's
the
improvement,
public.
yeah.
Okay, so that concludes my portion of this focus group. Now to move on to my partner.
Okay, so we're gonna continue on with the questions. My name is Navjot Singh, and I'll be taking over from here. So my first question to you guys would be, could you give an example of your most recent social trip? And I would like everyone to participate in the question, so anybody can start.
What do you mean by
Yeah.
social
Yeah,
trip?
With friends, gathering, or family.
Well, the most recent,
Most
We're
recent
going out
trip
with
was-
snowboarding or something like that.
the most recent.
This.
This one, yeah, obviously this is the most recent, but I think yesterday or the day before, I went out, met up with my friends, and we just drove.
I went to
Drove around.
Connecticut.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that was my
Wow.
most recent trip.
Okay, how was that?
Really easy, because it's one straight road, so you just like,
No traffic?
no traffic. Took the
95?
Whitestone Bridge, 95 took the 8, and it was easy. It's like an hour, and I was in there, so that was a really nice trip. And I was going like 60, 70, maybe like some points were a little bit higher.
How,
But it was like a nice, easy trip, so it was like smooth, yeah.
how's traffic compared to New York and Connecticut?
You always hit the traffic when you're closer to New York,
Right.
and everything outside is pretty,
Pretty,
quiet.
Quiet, right?
Yeah.
What about you guys?
For me, the last social trip would be last year. I went to Orlando with my family,
Oh, great. That's a long trip.
so it was like 12 hours trip.
12 hours?
Yeah, to get to 12 to 14 hours to
Yeah,
get to
it takes a
Orlando.
while. How was that?
It was good. It was a good experience.
Who
You
drove?
drove?
I didn't drive. It was my aunt that drove.
Alone?
That's fast.
14
though.
hours alone?
Yes, non-stop.
Oh,
Wow, that's mad fast.
that's fast. It usually takes around 18,
18,
19
17
hours.
miles per hour. Like, it was the traffic wasn't bad, but we just like we went at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Like
We got out early and everything.
yeah, to beat the traffic.
That's pretty good.
Well, I went to Long Island for my baby cousin's birthday, and traffic was surprisingly okay. I made it back okay.
Oh, great.
We went on the same trip.
Does the method that you use to travel work for you? Like, do you use any other way? Like, if you're late, you're gonna work, you usually take the train, but all of a sudden you decide to take the car because you're getting late. Does that happen?
Yeah, when I was on the bus and I called a cab.
Yeah.
I always drive, no matter what. If I'm late, I'm still driving.
I think it is if you're driving, you don't really wouldn't take another transportation, but you would get off like the highway or whatever the traffic is and take local roads. Like,
take
wouldn't you?
another road,
Yeah, take other roads.
Yeah, you would usually just change your route, but you have to plan ahead. I guess if you're at one point you're at home, and then you have to get to the city,
Right.
and if it's nighttime, you would probably take the car because you're not gonna hit traffic or anything, but
And there's like no parking regulations after 7 in the city too. No.
Yeah, that makes it
Yeah.
easier.
definitely.
My first option would be like, taking the car because, when you take the bus, like, you never know what can happen. Like, always have delays,
Yeah.
construction sites.
Yeah.
Anything can happen, like a delay, like, also the bus will take the same route. Like, the car can, like, just, like, a different route to beat the traffic.
I also think it's your comfort level. We're forgetting about that. It's so comfortable to just sit in your car, listen to whatever music you want to listen to, temperature, however you want it.
When
When it goes
you're
down.
bumping into people.
Exactly. When you're on the bus, you deal with a whole bunch of different characters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what's most convenient or like least expensive? As in, nowadays, train, bus, car, as in being expensive.
Train and bus, I guess, is the most like for your pocket.
Right.
Something-
Yeah, I would agree, especially with gas prices nowadays.
With
The
all
gas
these
just keeps
things.
going higher and higher,
Right.
so, definitely it's cheaper. I mean, the MetroCard fare is definitely going up too, but not at the rate the gas prices are going up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gas price is $4 an hour. Metro cost $2.25.
Mhm.
Right. You can go anywhere in the city for $2.25 or anywhere in New York, right?
Exactly.
Also, if you like, you have like another choice would be a bike, because they're building like more bike lanes. So like, if that doesn't cover your finances, there's always like, bicycle,
Um,
thinking about it, right?
What is the best for the environment or like the community? Like, do you guys ride bicycles? Do you go somewhere usually? Or not?
I
You wanna go
only
to your
do
friend's
it
house or-
recreationally,
Huh?
only recreationally. Like
Yeah.
if I just wanna go for a bike ride for some
This
exercise,
is fun.
I would, yeah, just for fun. I don't really use it for, I used to ride my bike to school, or if I'm going like to the park to play sports, I would take my bike. But not if I'm going, to like a meeting, or if, let's say I'm going to a job interview, I obviously wouldn't take my bike.
Right.
But for me, it's only recreationally.
But I love those people in the city though, that you do see them in their suits,
Mhm.
or like the girls in their dresses, and they're bike riding. So I think like more than ever, I've seen a lot more bike riders this year.
They actually have those special bike lanes in the city.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's what brought it, or now why I see so many
Yeah.
bike, and you have like the delivery service in the city, it's all by bike.
Yeah.
So I think, because we live outside of Manhattan, our either buses, cars, or trains are easier, but I definitely, I believe if we were maybe in the city, maybe the option of a bike would be
Yeah.
there, but I'm not sure.
Would be more
Yeah.
convenient,
Yeah.
like for those delivery drivers, it's convenient to go around here and there in a bike rather than
Yeah.
walking or especially taking a car, right? So, if you couldn't use your currently most relied upon mode of transportation, what would your next choice be? Like, for instance, you don't have your car, or somebody took it, or there's no way you can get a car. Suppose you never had a car, what would you do? What would you choose as a transportation?
Bus and train.
Yeah, I think the second best option would definitely be bus and train, because they have defined routes. There's a whole infrastructure
Right.
set up for this purpose, to get from place A to B. With bikes, there's so many other factors. Is it dangerous? Dangerous. So I definitely think the second option would be the MTA system.
Right now they have online system where you can go online and check if you want to go anywhere to any part of the city. You can just put in the location and it'll tell you what trains
Yeah.
and what buses
Yeah.
to take, and also how long it'll take you to get there.
Yeah, pop stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were
So-
good.
Normally, like if you're traveling on a bus, for instance, if you're going to work, if you were to take the car or the train, what gets you there faster normally?
In the morning, I leave very early. I leave
It
like-
depends on time.
Yeah.
It
I
depends
leave
on
at
what time
5
you
in the morning and I'll get to work in 30 minutes. But when I'm coming home, there's traffic, so it would be easier to take the train to go back home.
back home, but in the morning you prefer a car in the morning,
Actually, I'll get
so
there.
there's less traffic.
My job's in Long Island, so the only thing would be taking the LIRR, but that's just expensive compared to the MTA that I'm used to.
Yeah.
So,
How expensive is that?
I think the LIRR for one ticket is, I don't take it.
Does it depend on where you go, or does
It
it?
depends on where you're going,
Yeah, how far-
how far you're going.
So I've never taken the train or the LIRR to my job.
Oh, with the
$7.
regular MTA, it's like $2.25 no matter where you go, right?
Yeah.
But that is different.
Yeah. That's and it's a specific ticket. You have to punch in where your destination will be, and then it shows up on the ticket, and
But I
then.
heard it's really fast, it takes you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you can get to Connecticut, I heard. I think that's the one that goes to Connecticut in
Metro
15
North,
minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But
Super quick.
15 minutes?
From here to Connecticut,
Oh,
15.
wow. I know you can get to the city in like 2 minutes. Like it's that fast.
for me, for work, the cars.
Cars.
There's nothing. I don't
The
know what
most
else I would
reliable
take.
would be a car, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, I'm gonna forward on to my partner Abraham, he's gonna take over.
How you guys doing? You said my name's Abraham. So, what is your guys' involvement with the government? Meaning, have you guys ever contacted the government to either give them a complaint or a compliment about transportation?
No.
I have never, no.
Nope.
Alright, do you guys know that you could contact someone about the transportation issue?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's established methods of doing that, but I just think it's inconvenient, and for someone, it just may not be worth it, you know?
They have the ads all
Yeah.
over the buses and the trains.
But
Yes,
do
you do.
actually people call them and do
Mhm.
actually people see differences? Is the question?
Like, they have improved with the sign, like, you know, where it's like, go to the bus, you see the ad, and you see something, say something, like, they've really done a good job with that, because you make just leave something, like, you never know where it is, like, you know, for security purposes.
So you guys never, I don't know, you were driving, hit a bump in the street and damaged your rim, you didn't feel like contacting the...
I've dealt with that a lot, but I just never went around to actually call them because,
Didn't you have a situation with, when it rained, your car got...
oh, well, yeah, that was a different situation. It rained and the sewage was clogged. So where my car was parked, it flooded. The road was like this, and the sewer hole was right there in the middle at the bottom of the dip, and it flooded, and the car was totaled. My parents contacted the New York City government to try to get reimbursement for the insurance. We had to pay a deductible, and they never came around with that. It just was, they probably filed it and just forgot about it.
It's on the pile.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the reasons, you know, most of our experiences with, you know, the bureaucracy has been, you know, there's been no ignorance, and there has been no improvement. You know, you say something to them and you don't hear anything back. Yeah,
Most of the time you just ignore it.
yeah, I think that's why people just don't care about it.
I think like if you're just one person, it's just gonna be ignored. That's why like whenever there are
Yeah, the
any
majority.
issues with the government, you have to have
Right.
yeah,
Just
protests.
pile
There's
your
so many
numbers.
people. Just pile your numbers with signatures. Like, because I know for work with our union, because I'm a teacher, so it's all, please go to this website and go to your governor and make sure that you're sending these
Mhm.
emails. Like, it's just all about numbers. Like, make sure that it's strength in numbers. But
Because at the end, you're just fighting the city, because if just one person alone, it's like you're fighting the city alone, so like, you know, they're not gonna hear you out. But
Right.
if it's like a team, like, you know, they'll hear you out, like, you know, there's a saying, like, you know, it's better to, like, you know, fight with a fist than like with the open hand.
Yeah, so you gotta get the voice out, you have to gather people.
Exactly.
Yeah, the majority.
Alright, besides this meeting, have you guys ever been to another, public transportation meeting?
no.
No.
I haven't been to a meeting, but I did a public transportation survey where for 1 week I had to record how I got around places. So if I were going to, say, this meeting, I would have to note it down, say I took my car from here to here and I drove for this many minutes. And it was an MTA, yeah, they did that. They did it, I think, about a year ago. And the purpose was to try to improve the transportation system. I mean, I don't know what they got out of it or if they did anything yet, but I did take part in it.
And that was just, driving or?
No, it was
MTA?
any transportation.
Any transportation.
Anywhere you went. So if I walked down the block to school, I noted that.
For you guys that have never been in other meetings of transportation, what would make you guys wanna join or go to a meeting about transportation?
Food.
That's a good plus.
I think going back on if we ever contacted a government about an issue, it would, and since we were saying that we didn't get to see results, I think it would have to be proof or something, some certainty that going to this focus group
Right.
and putting our opinions, we will see
The
something
result.
come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a result, or just something come out of it. It doesn't
Right.
have to be anything drastic, but just something, like those.
Like you acknowledge
Like
that.
any
Yeah.
small change will
Just a
count.
small
Like-
thing, like even an advertisement of, I don't know, we heard
Like,
you.
it has to be a motive, like, you know.
Yeah, that we
Yeah.
heard you.
Yeah, I think it has to be a genuine effort by the city to really that they have to show that they really do care about, you know, our transportation, our commute.
Our voices that we're sitting here and doing this, actually wasting our time.
Right.
We could be doing anything else and whatever.
I think there are actually, as far as being commuting, they're doing something about it because if every time I go to school, come back and there's always posters on the trains saying that the subways they're doing this, they're doing that, and
Oh, yeah.
improving the system. And
I see those
a lot of
too.
construction has been going on, like you said, on Second Avenue. There's also construction on the west side where like the 7 train doesn't go to the west side now. And
But it's gonna go to.
it's gonna
Yeah.
go to the west side in another couple of years, and like small things. Like it takes time.
Of course.
Like any of you travel on 7 train,
Yeah.
right? 45th Court was closed for like I think a few
Oh,
months.
yeah.
It's built now. I just went on there last week.
Oh,
It's
wow.
brand new escalators, new elevators, new
Yeah.
flow. Everything's
So that's
done.
like
Yeah,
how
over
what
there
they
last
could
week.
be.
Yeah.
Is it nice? Those are.
It's really good. It's like
Okay. So I guess okay. So then I guess
they're
it's
trying.
true they are trying, and it's true now that you're reminding me. I do see those boards of like, oh, the MTA has
Yeah.
done this to improve your ride. So yeah, I mean, I think if you go to the certain places where you know a lot of commuters are going to be there, and you have this survey, I'm pretty sure you will find people who will do it.
Yeah, I think because like you know those signs where it says that your train will be here in 5 minutes. Not have it on certain stations. I think most of the stations have it. Like you'll see the train's gonna come. So we know that the train's gonna be here another 5 minutes. We don't have to wait much longer. I think they're trying, but it takes a lot of time for them to go and do that.
So I guess I would go to a focus group. Going back to your question, yeah, I would.
Alright. Do you guys think that the current transportational system is fair?
Yeah.
On what terms?
Like, just particular for yourself, you take the train, or do you drive? You do both, right?
Yeah,
So do you think it's fair, either or?
I don't understand.
Meaning, for example, do we need more buses? Do we need more
Oh,
trains?
okay.
The cars, do we need less cars?
I
Do
think
we
we need
more
less
streets?
cars.
Less cars?
Less cars, yeah. Because finding parking anywhere, especially like in the city, and it's pretty hectic. I don't even drive to the city. Like every time he asks me to drive him to work in the morning, I'm like, no. I'm like, I don't know how to drive to the city. I can't do it. It's just less cars would be better.
In terms of the types of routes they have and where they have it, I think it's pretty fair because, you know, the routes are designed to be in places where a lot of people are gonna go. So, you know, all the buses that end up converging and the trains converging to the city. Everyone goes to the city in the morning, so, you know, most of the routes are gonna be geared towards getting people to the city. You know, so I think it is fair. Sure you would like to see more buses and more transportation out in like Queens, and especially Queens. There's not much in Queens, but I think it's fair because they are just trying to get people where they're going, where people are mostly going. So I think so.
Yeah, I do think it's fair because I know the LIE does it, and the Uptown on the bridge, is it the Connecticut Bridge, where they close off the section, and from like 7 to 10 you're allowed to go on the opposite side to open the flow of traffic. So I think it's fair. I don't really have too much to say about in terms of getting me. If it gets me from where I have to go, point A to point B, and I'm fine with
What
it.
about the train? What do you guys think about that? Is that fair?
I just don't think they should allow all those people in there.
In the train?
Yes.
I know, like every morning, I have class at 9 in the morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And every time the E train comes, it's full. You literally gotta push yourself inside. And I don't think that's fair. I think there just should be like a minimum of people. Not a minimum, but at one point,
Comfortable amount of
yeah,
people.
comfortable amount of people. There's certain times that I can't even move. Literally, I can't move.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think about that?
I agree. I don't like people like touching me and breathing down my
There's no
neck on
such
the
thing
train.
as personal space there.
Yeah, like someone's armpit is in your face.
I don't know, like, I don't know how that would be changed. I feel like that's just us.
Yeah.
Everyone just wants to cram in
You
because
can't
they just
fix
want to
that
get
no
home.
more.
Yeah,
There's
but
just
what
too
if
many
they-
of us.
How would you see it? Like, how would you like try to
Change
change
it?
that? Yeah.
I would probably make a train that doesn't let you get on once it has like a full amount of capacity. Like it'd be like, I don't know.
But what
just
about for the
getting-
guys, the people who need to get off?
Well, like, you can get off, but that means
Oh,
a
but
certain
they-
amount of person can't get on. So once the people get off, it's like, okay, then 5 people got off, 5 people could get back on if it's limited. Something like that.
I just think, you know, we've been dealing with this for decades. And I think if they were to try to implement the system, it would just, you know, put more time in our commute.
Yeah.
Look
You
at
know,
Make that
China.
much longer.
They have people that stand outside, like people that work in the trains that pack you in,
Yeah.
saw
like
that.
shove you
Yeah.
into the door, and then they're like, okay, we're good to go. They remove your foot off of your back and the door's closed.
I saw that. That's crazy.
That's
That is
crazy. Can you imagine that here?
So, going back to that, do you think our public transit, it's fair for like the whole community in general then, since we don't do that?
I think the majority, if we take the right percentage, like your pros and your cons, I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
Everyone thinks it's fair? So you guys wouldn't like change it at all?
Maybe there should be more trains.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely just adding more routes, you know.
Yeah, different.
Like,
more, yeah,
let's say
another
there's
route.
only one route to get somewhere and then everyone spreads out. If they were to add more routes, different areas, you know, you could let out some of the pressure from one. You know, if they have, like, let's say from where I take the E train, it gets packed going to the city. If they had several other trains that went into, you know, some different parts of the city at the same time, you know, I think that would relieve some of the pressure, like,
I
being packed
agree
in.
because not everybody like you know is going to the same route. Like because you create different routes, like you know people like you know go to like you know different routes, than going to the same route. If that makes any sense, like you know, like I agree. With that. And also you gotta think about the future too. Like you know we have like an increasing population always,
Mhm.
and it's better to build more trains and more routes.
You could look at it like a highway, you know, when one lane is closed, what happens? You know, everything converges there, traffic slows down, it's more packed up, there's more accidents. As soon as they open another lane or they widen the road, things flow smoothly. So I think that's the only way they can improve it, and I think they are improving it. You know, we're always seeing new lines opening, new trains, new routes, you know. So I think it is overall good for the community.
You guys think that maybe in the rush hour times, if they were to have trains that didn't have any seating, will that be an improvement?
Oh, seating, but seating, no, you need to have seating.
No.
What I saw in Spain, they have it where it's like a snake. You know how ours are like separate cars and you have like the doors? And so it's like one separate, this one's just one long like snake. Literally, it's like a tunnel. So that kind of eliminates the whole separation in between it, so there's no spaces, it's just like one continuous cart. That might be better. Because you need chairs. After a long day, I want to be sitting down.
No, just in rush hour timing. Like
No chairs?
I
get no seating,
Or
and then
No,
people
but
that
then
need chairs.
Yeah, there's people like
Disabled.
you'll have a limited amount of
disabled
chairs
people,
for the.
pregnant ladies, old people that want to sit down.
I
I
think,
want to sit down.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, do you really get a seat when it's a rush hour?
Yeah.
Like that's.
I will get a
You
seat.
gotta stand in front of the right person.
Yeah, you gotta know
This
my
person's
face.
getting up the next one.
I think, you know, a system like that may work, you know, perhaps having every other train, every other car with seats. You know, maybe it'll relieve some congestion, get people where they're going faster. But you'll never know until they actually do it.
Maybe having the express trains not have seats, like the ones that skip a lot of stops, would make it go faster. Get you to wherever you have to go directly, quickly as possible, and it's, you know, like shuttle buses. I mean shuttle trains. Yeah.
How would you guys like to see the government spend our tax money on transportation?
In my pocket.
Just give it back.
Because he doesn't take it, that's why you feel that way.
Uh,
I'm thinking of my sisters because they take the trains a lot. Because I have one sister especially, she will not drive. She's like a lover of public transportation. But I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't know how it should be improved or what they should do or that they're not doing already. That's the thing. Like I know they're doing so much already that I don't know what else I'm not sure.
send us
More
a Metro
questions
card
on
like
taxes.
once a year
What
Yeah,
for
that's-
Christmas?
Just to make the, like I said,
yeah
What does
that'd
it
be
gonna
nice.
do with our tax dollars?
I mean, I think definitely our tax dollars should definitely go to improving the public transportation system. I mean, there are people who may not take it and yet they're still paying for the system, but I think in the end, let's say someone takes a car, they never take the MTA, you know, you're still getting an improvement because more people are using the buses, which is freeing up the road for you. You know,
Right.
so I think in the end, even if you don't use the system, it's beneficial for you to help
Who does?
help the system by paying.
Alright, so just to conclude, do you guys think there should be more or less public transportation?
I-
More.
More?
More trains, less buses. Maybe
Yes.
like increase the trains, but I'm afraid if we increase more buses, we might be putting in more traffic, but I'm not sure. I don't know about
But
that.
then again, there's certain places where they have their own bus lane, don't they?
Yes, that's true. They do have their own bus lanes, so maybe.
So yeah, more trains, a little more buses.
I definitely think they should keep adding routes and trains, you
Yeah,
know,
it's more lines.
relieving some of the congestion in other places.
Alright, what did you guys think when you were asked to participate in this meeting?
I thought this was some kind of Amway or Vector. You know, like I don't want to be sold anything.
I thought it was going to be easy and just free talk, like just what's your opinion? Nothing too stressful. It wasn't, I don't know, nothing that was going to be really of an inconvenience to participate in. It's fine.
It's just your personal perspective. on it.
Yeah, what I expected exactly how it happened, you know, the types of questions, you know, how's your commute? So, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing unexpected.
See, I didn't
It was pretty much simple, like, you know, to express your thoughts and opinions.
Alright. Any advice that you guys might have for the future on public transportation?
I would say just, you know, keep improving, you know, keep a consistent effort to improve our transportation in the morning, evenings, and at all hours.
Anyone else? Alright, well that pretty much concludes our focus group, guys. Thank you very much for participating. I really appreciate you all coming out, seriously, honestly. And that's about it.
We all want to thank you all for participating and being a great group. And
Refreshments are in the back.
Yeah.
Thank